won't kill you, make you more resilient. So even when your world is falling down, you gotta keep ascending. Gotta keep ascending. Oh yeah. Gotta keep ascending. Yeah. Even at your worst, you gotta keep your vision. That's the only way that you gon' keep ascending. Gotta keep ascending. Oh yeah. Gotta keep ascending. Yeah. Even at your worst, you gotta keep your vision. That's the only way that you gon' keep ascending. Her pain is my pain. Her struggle's my struggle.
Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Hello, Bay Area. Hello, world. Welcome to Believe Radio. I'm Toni Rochelle with Ascending with Toni Rochelle. And I'm so happy to be back. I haven't been here all year, so I got to say Happy New Year to y'all. I know it's been so long and I missed y'all. I hope that y'all miss me, but your girl has been ascending. She has been doing so many things. And you know, sometimes when you work, you got to take a little break. You got to take a little breather. You know what I mean? So you can regroup and come up with more ideas and have a little bit more energy. And that's what your girl did. And first of all, let me say Happy Women's Month. Yes. Who ruled the world? Girls. Who ruled the world? Girls. Okay. But you know, it is Women's Month, so I have to recognize all the women that go out and work hard, that are educators, that are doctors, that are mothers, wives, sisters. You know, yes, much love to all the women this month and every day. Shout out to Believe Radio for this platform. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. You may be wondering, like, what is ascending? And ascending is a lot of definitions to me. Ascending is leveling up, not staying stagnant, climbing the ladder. It's like that man that works at the McDonald's, and he starts out at the McDonald's, and first he's the janitor, right? And then he started looking around and he's like, you know what? I don't want to be the janitor. I want to be the cashier. I want to take money in. And then he looks behind him and he realized, you know what? Maybe I should flip burgers. You know, I want to flip the burgers. And then he's starting to flip the burgers and he's looking around and he's like, you know what? I think I want to be the manager. So then he becomes the manager and he started running things. You know, he's the manager. But then he realized, he's like, you know what? I want to be the owner. And so then he buys the place. And then he buys several more McDonald's. That's ascending. Ascending is also, well, before I say this, the one thing that we all have in common as humans is that life shows up for us. And sometimes when life shows up, it doesn't have an agenda. It doesn't have an appointment. It just shows up whenever it wants to. And sometimes when it comes, it makes us sad. It gets us angry. We're worried. We're confused. We're surprised. And sometimes it keeps us in the bed for a couple of days. You know what I'm talking about? It makes us so angry, so mad. We have all these emotions going on because of the word life. We don't have no control over what happens in our life, when it shows up and how it shows up. But, ladies and gentlemen, we get to make a choice. Yes, just that one little word, choice. We get to make the choice to say, you know what? Life is kicking my butt. I am mad. I am angry. I can't believe that my uncle is really my daddy. Yeah. That's the kind of life I'm talking about. I'm talking about divorces. I'm talking about losing your job. I'm talking about not having enough money to pay your bills. I'm talking about, how do I become a woman? What do I do to do that? All kind of things. But you get the choice to reach out to community, go to church, get on your knees, talk to your sister, your brother, get up, go to work, still be mommy, be daddy. You get the choice to do that. And that's the lovely thing about it. And every day that you get to wake up is a blessing. And it's a time where you get to make the choice to show up how you want to show up. And that's ascending. And so you probably thinking like, oh, you know what, Toni? I really have been ascending. I know what that means. I know what that feels like. So right here, when you come on this platform, you hear stories. They call it storytelling, but I like to call it real stories, because the people that come and sit with me and say, yes, Toni, I want to tell you about my struggle, my pain. I want to tell you how I got stagnant in life and how I didn't know how I was going to move, how I was going to push through, how bad it hurt me. Just know that you're not alone. Because, like I said, life shows up for all of us. And you get to looking at that person, you get to hearing that story, and you're like, oh, wow, she went through it. She looked like me. Oh, then I can do it too. So that's what you're going to get here on this platform. We're here to heal, to be in community. And if you got to cry, cry. If you got to laugh, laugh. But don't make it last for too long because you can ascend. So that's what this platform is all about. Again, I'm your host, Toni Rochelle. We're here on Believe Radio. And the best thing about today is I have a guest. And I'm so excited to introduce her. I'm so excited to be in her business because that's another thing that I do here. I get in people's business, but they let me. So praise the Lord that they let me. So I hope that today something helps you when you hear the story, you hear the message, and talk to us in the comment because we would love to hear your feedback. We would love to answer your questions. And okay, I'm excited. So let me just go ahead and bring her up right now. Further ado, my guest for today is Miss Latisha Johnson. I hope I said that right. She gonna correct me if I didn't.
Hi, Tony. It's Latisha, but it's okay. I've been called Latisha all my life, honestly.
Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yay,
Okay.
we can hear each
And
other.
happy Women's Month. Yeah, women are so
Happy
great.
Women's Month. Oh my God. How blessed, how much is that a blessing that we get a whole month to ourselves?
Girl, we're not going to get into it.
Right, right. So please introduce yourself again. Tell the people what kind of woman you are. Since it's Women's Month, go ahead and tell the people what kind of woman you are. You a mother, you a sister, you a friend. Tell what kind of woman are you?
Well, first off, I'm a child and woman of God. I born and raised in Oakland, California. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a sister, a friend. Um, A confidant, I guess. Yes, like I'm here to help the community, like wherever I can lend a helping hand. Um, I'm an entrepreneur. I help small businesses build their brands out through like thought processes and being a think partner. Um, Yes, I've also worked in the social works for a long time through mental health and advocacy, working with young girls who have been human trafficked. I've had a childcare. I've worked, like I said, as a peer supporter in mental health. And so I wear a lot of hats, a lot of titles, a lot of roles.
Wow. So when you say when you say that you're in the community, you are in that thing. And
Yes,
first of all, I always like to say thank you for people that choose to do community work because that's not easy. And it means that you care.
I
Where
do.
do you think that where does that passion come from? Why do you care so much?
I think it really comes from seeing things a certain way growing up, um, and not and just wanting to be a part of the solution rather than a problem. Growing up in Oakland, I didn't wasn't raised by my mom and dad, but there were always people and instrumental women in my life, and men, who really just taught me the game and taught me how to really navigate through tough times. So I just wanted to reciprocate that and be that for someone else.
I love that. So you want to give back. You want to see
Yes, ma'am.
change. You want to make an
Yes,
impact.
for
I
sure.
love that. So I always have to say when people say I grew up in Oakland, where you grow up? East Oakland, West Oakland, North Oakland.
East Oakland for sure.
Why you say it like that? East Oakland.
For sure, for sure. Because that's my
Oh,
home. That's who made me. Yes.
I
That's
love
definitely
that.
had a
I love that.
platform into the woman I am
Town
today.
business.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me just tell the people how we met.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Because I think it's a beautiful story. And I
Yes.
really believe that people are already aligned to come into your life, and you're supposed to meet certain people. And there's this thing called energy that we
Mhm.
have. And even if
I
you're
agree.
across the room, you can feel that energy from someone else, and I think that's beautiful. um we were both at Women Evolve with Sarah
Yeah.
Jakes, Pastor Sarah Jakes. And first of all, that event was phenomenal. Y'all, if y'all been watching, y'all know how much I praised about that event, how it actually changed my life. um and this young lady was right here, she was there. And I was going around talking to people, because that's what I do. I was talking to people, trying to get in people's business, because I was having a good time, and I wanted to know what people thought about the event.
Mhm.
I wanted to know how people have ascended through life. So I kind of mixed my brand and the brand where we were at together. And I was just going up to people, and, I was asking the Lord, like, guide me to who I should go to.
Mhm.
Tell me who I should go to. And if people, mostly everyone that I went up to didn't say no, they didn't give me no problems. They was eager. They were ready to tell me what they wanted to tell me. It was a blessing. It was more like favor to me. And I remember seeing you, and I was like, she got a beautiful smile. I was like, I'm gonna go ask her, can I talk to her? Can I get in her business? And then the best part of it, you was like, I'm from the Bay.
Yep, I remember. Yes, your energy was so impactful. I was like, honestly, you showed me a lot in that space, because I was like, here this young girl is just out here putting herself out there to connect with community and just being your authentic self, wanting to know about others. And the question you asked was like, what does it mean to ascend? And I was like, that's a good question. And it's just like, but just your energy was really great. And just, I don't know. And I think sometimes it's also a community thing. I feel like I meet a lot of people from back home, and it's just always this good connection and this good vibe and feeling. And so I was very pleased to talk with you that day, and the energy was electrifying at the conference too. I'm planning on going again this year because it was dope.
Yes, yes, me too. Me too. So let's get into this.
Let's do
Let
it.
me get in your business, please. Let me get in your business. So I'm gonna start off by saying, when you think of the word ascending, what does ascending mean to you?
Initially, I think of in the Bible, I think it was Gabriel that had the dream about the angels ascending and descending, and it just reminds me that ascending is definitely moving up, but you really, I don't think we feel or know our ascension until we have descended into like our lowest places in life sometimes, or just our points where we're trying to do it our way and we find out that it's a must that we do it God's way. Um, so I think ascending to me means getting to that point of dissension and then finding out everything you need to know, or not everything, but finding out what you need to know and who you need to be connected with, so that way your growth can start to happen.
I love that. I love that. And I like that you referenced the Bible, because when I first heard the word ascending, I had never heard it. I heard the word descending, and
Mhm.
I've been reading the Bible, pretty much since I was like maybe 12. And
Right.
I don't remember ever seeing the word ascending in the Bible until I started with this platform. And then I'm like, oh my God, there's the word in this scripture. It's there too. It's there too. It's here, there. And so
Uh-huh.
I like the reference. I always like to hear people's references, because I don't think there's a wrong answer when
Mhm.
when I
Mhm.
ask people, what does ascending mean? And so thank you. And
Yeah.
so let's go deeper. When you think about ascending, and um you think about mental health and spiritual health,
Mhm.
how does that tie in?
Yeah, I think that like this last year, I feel like it's definitely tied in gravely. Like, um, well, I would say in 2020, I had my third daughter, and I was experiencing what now I know was postpartum depression. And through that time, I just didn't know what it was. I just knew I did not feel like myself. I did not I just was trying to get back to myself, but I wasn't allowing myself to really sit and be. And so through that process, I was like going through it, trying to still work and be my normal self and go to work and take care of the household, but I just felt off. And I was kind of at a low, but it wasn't until I started coming out of that and getting the help that I needed that I was like, oh wow, like I was struggling in an area. And the thing is, I've been born and raised in church all my life.
Mhm.
Um, and so I was definitely relying on the Bible and God's word and oh, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So like just get up and do it, just push through it, just push through it. And I
Yeah.
was like, God, you're gonna have to help me. You have to help me because I'm really in a struggle. And so during that time, I also started to see like, okay, I feel like there's something more going on. I feel like it might have more to do with my mental health because I was working in as a peer supporter for a agency in San Francisco, and so I was learning a little bit more in depth about mental health and what it looks like and stuff. And so during that time, I was like, okay, I see relative things in my life happening that are causing these depressions and this anxiety that I had never experienced. I know like women in my family who were very worried, but I just thought it was just like, oh, worried.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to understand more, just not from a medical standpoint, because I also was feeling like, because I was raised in the church, like, oh, I don't need to take no medicine. I don't need to
Mm. Mm.
go see a therapist necessarily. I had a therapist for a little while, off and on. I had when before I had moved to Hawaii when I was pregnant with my second daughter, and then when we came back. But I just was like, okay, God, I know that there has to be like Bible knowledge and practical knowledge that I can do to put this in motion and really get strength from this situation. And
Yeah.
so during that time, I our church, we were in a pandemic, and I just started researching like, okay, Lord, what does the Bible say about mental health? And so I started gathering different scriptures about like, what does it say? Like, God says, be anxious for nothing. And
Mhm.
if he doesn't take care, if God takes care of the fowl of the air, like what makes me think that he won't take care of me? Like, why wouldn't I expect that from him? But I was like, still like, okay, but how do I put this into practice? And so really, coming from that point in life, and to where I am now, like 4 years later, I really see where I have ascended through things, like loss of a job, lost my job
Yeah.
last year, and was really, and what I recognized during that time is that a lot of my identity was wrapped up in the work that I did, and
Ooh.
just helping others and
Mhm.
being a people pleaser and those sort of things. And it's like, I thought that it was important for me to give all of myself to others and leave none for me for restoration. And so now, hindsight 2020 is always a better vision. I'm learning that self-care is necessary,
Yes.
that my mental health is necessary. I have to prioritize that to be the woman that I want to be, the woman of God that I want to be, the mother that I want to be, the wife that I want to be, the friend.
Exactly. Because if you're not right, how are you gonna be there for them?
Right, pouring out of a dry cup. Ain't nothing
I
in that
wanna
cup,
go
girl.
I wanna go back a little bit. I wanna start with
Mhm.
the postpartum part first
Yeah.
because, a lot of women don't understand, and or maybe just a lot of people don't understand that that is a real thing.
Mhm. It
That is
is.
a real thing. That is a real thing to sit there and breastfeed your baby and wanna throw your baby out the window at the same time, but you
Mhm.
love your baby.
Right.
And I wanna tell community that, like, if you feel that way, don't be embarrassed by that. Because
Right.
that's some emotions that you can't control. You just had a baby. Your baby,
Yeah.
your body just went through a complete shock.
Mhm.
And really, we're not supposed to be walking or moving or doing anything after we have a baby. But we live in
Right.
America, and unfortunately, after you have your baby, they want you to come back to the hospital in 3 days,
Mhm.
which makes no sense because your body is wide open. So why would you not be depressed? Why would you not be suffering from postpartum?
Right. And I mean, and the thing was, I hadn't like I had my previous stars I had never experienced that with. I think a lot of it was a little bit of me putting more on myself or feeling like there was
Absolutely.
this expectation, yeah, of me. Like you said, society tells us that we're supposed to get up and do it, be super moms, be, be everything to everybody, and like you said, nursing and
And
I
then
think
you
really
have other
within.
kids too, right?
Yeah,
So
so it's like I'm a brand new mom of 3. I say
mhm,
anytime you have a baby, you're a new mom. Like, cause you ain't never
yeah.
been I was never a mom with 2 kids before. I only had 1. Then I had 3 and I'm
And
like,
you
I ain't
never
never been
dealt
a
with
mom of
that
3.
new you never deal with that new human.
Right. Personality conflicts and everything. But yeah, and so just having grace, learning to have grace for myself definitely helped. It was definitely hard. But yeah, I think it's a real thing, and I think women who experience it. I don't think we talk about it though. I don't think
Yeah,
that.
we don't. We don't.
Yeah, we don't, and I really feel like I wish that men would do a better job of nurturing women when they are pregnant, because that kind of teaches them how to nurture the baby when it does get here, and it takes a little
Mhm.
bit of the load off of the woman, and she feels like safe and secure. But a lot of it we don't talk about. We just push through it and push through it, and I think a lot of women go through postpartum, because honestly I don't really believe that we even become remote. We never go back to ourselves that we were before we had children. I think a lot of times as
Your sleep
young
is
women.
different. Your
Yeah,
body is
your
different.
body's
Your
different.
attitude is different.
Right, you've grown. Something else means more. Like you have something to protect now. And so I think sometimes we be like, "Oh, I want to get back to my old body, my one before I had children, or I want to get back to my old life." And it's like that life has passed. But what can
Yeah.
you do with the one that you have? What do you want to create? But I think so. Stop even trying to get back to that person and just rebrand and revamp the woman that you are is vitally important.
So yes, ladies, community, we have to talk about that. And I heard you say you wish that the men would do this and do that, but it's also the women's responsibility too. Like, babe, partner, I need this. Like
Yeah.
I'm going through the changes. And I know you see the changes, but I'm really going through the changes because we got to
Right.
start being more outspoken too. So
I
I'm not gonna
agree.
make it. You know what I
Definitely
mean?
have to ask for help. But
We got to act.
sometimes what I found is sometimes we
We
don't
don't.
even know what we're asking for. So I think that's
And
where communication is.
yeah, and it's okay to say that too. Like, I don't know what's going on with me, but I'm
Yes.
not mean right now, and I need something. Like, can I get a hug or something? Can you
Right. Can I have a hug? Yes, girl.
grab my feet longer? Like, I'm not touching
Mhm.
them dishes today. Like, no, that's not
You
me
know
right now.
what?
Like, whatever that
Um,
is.
I'm trying to think of the saying. Oh, yes. So when I was going through this time, Tony, I had to start telling, I would just tell people, like, I would tell my siblings, I got like a whole bunch of sisters and brothers, but I'd be like, oh, you can't talk to me like that. I'm fragile. And it sounded so like
No, for
weak
real.
but I was like, no, like the wrong thing is either gonna set me off or, put me in a downward spiral. So I'm a little fragile. I can't take what you're giving
Mhm.
right now.
No, you have to tell people how to treat you and how to talk to you.
Oh, that's my number one
Period.
rule. If you don't teach people how
Period.
to treat you, they're gonna do whatever they want.
Now, there was something else that you said when you were speaking. You were talking about the church, growing up in the church.
Hmm.
And we all know in our community, that we always hear the phrase, um, pray about it.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, that comes from the roots. That's how our ancestors got us to this life that we're living now.
Right.
And I agree with you. Yes, we should pray. Yes, we should go to God. Absolutely. But because it's not instilled in us to show emotion, to
Hmm.
hide the big things that happen, like you sitting on uncle's lap and him touching you, or like I said earlier, maybe your your daddy is your uncle. Like, we got those real things in our
Those are
community.
real things in the community, and it's swept under the rug. And a lot of people don't know where to start with that. And they also internalize it to think that it's a them thing. And the truth is like you carry that for years in and years on out.
Yeah,
And unless you're getting with the right community and doing the work, like I see a lot of people who just always are stuck in the past, or who feel like that they kind of stop at that whatever that trauma was.
they
And
they're stagnant.
Yeah, and they hold on to it. And so that's definitely not healthy. But like, what are you to do if you don't know? And that's the thing about it. In the Black community, we really don't talk about the importance of mental health and self care and all that.
Yeah, somebody said, I don't believe in children sitting on men's lap. No, 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 no.
Oh, no.
No, seriously.
That's a real thing.
But that's a real thing. And that's a real thing that we shall talk about. You know what I
You know,
mean?
a lot
But
of people I feel like get away from some of those old things. Like I don't know, when I was growing up, my auntie who raised me, she didn't go for that. We wasn't smiling in no man's face. We wasn't, all those things, and it protected us from a lot of things. But I feel like a lot of parents and today they're so like lenient with their children. It's kind of like, oh well, whatever the child wants. And like I said, I got three girls. And it's not is the thing about it too, Tony, it's not even just happening to little girls. This
oh,
is
oh,
happening
yeah.
to little boys. So it's like, you know, um, I thank God for the women and men in my life though, for sure. That support system is ooh, it's a beautiful thing.
But let's talk about people that don't have that support system
Right.
because a lot of
Mhm.
people just don't have that.
Don't have it. That's
Some
very
people
true.
don't even have one or two people in their life that they can honestly go to and get support. So how are you supposed to, reach out? How are you supposed to trust? Like, what do you do?
That is a good question. I mean, and I think too, like you said, we people are scared to ask for help or don't know what to ask for. I'm a big advocate for like reaching out, like finding your resources within your community. Sometimes when we're going through things, there's somebody that's going through that same exact thing. Rather,
Exactly.
like for instance, like my oldest girl, she has a diagnosis of autism and ADHD, super bright, little girl. Um, but like I had to start finding communities and things where I could talk to parents who are experiencing these different things and like how did they navigate certain situations and stuff. Because at the end of the day, like, and I feel like nowadays there are more programs and stuff, but you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. But that's why these kind of conversations need to go be happening,
Uh, Heck
you
yeah.
know. Um and so let's talk about the spiritual part of the mental health. Like,
Hmm.
um for people that don't believe in therapy, let's talk
Hmm.
about that because a lot of people are a lot in our community. They're like, oh, you don't need to go see no therapist. You ain't crazy.
Yeah,
Or I'm not
exactly.
crazy, so I'm not going to see a therapist.
Yeah.
Or
And I
you
think it,
hear, how can I go see a therapist and that person don't know nothing about me or
mhm,
can't relate to what I've been through? Let's talk
right.
about that because that's a thing.
Yeah, I think it starts off with the language. Like you said a minute ago, you was like, "Oh, I ain't crazy." It's like we have to debunk that language and leave those negative connotations away, but it's going to be hard. But the reality is that a therapist comes in many different forms. Half of us, we do go to therapy. When we go sit down in the hair salon and get our hair done, our therapist,
Say
we sit there talking to her about everything under the sun. But then she gonna need therapy. So
it.
so just like we
Seriously.
right. And there are people, and that's the work that I want to do is like healing healers, like people who are in that position to take it on and have the capacity to talk to people. But it's no one shoe fits all with therapists either. It's like, and you can shop around. I think it's also kind of figuring out what the expectation is for you, because most people don't even they think they picture like therapists sitting on this couch and talking to this
Mhm,
shrink and whatever, and that's
mhm.
really not what it is. And you cultivate the relationship. For me, when I first started, I had a Asian therapist, and I was like, this chick don't know nothing about what I'm about to talk to her about.
That's what I'm
And
talking about.
exactly. And so she was just, but and so for a while I was just going and I was just kind of going out of routine, and I felt lighter after talking to her. But eventually I had to tell her, I was like, listen, like, I feel like I'm walking away. I don't have any homework. I don't know what the next step is. And I just feel like I'm just coming just to be coming. And then she was like, okay. And so then we started to really dissect, well, what is it that I felt like I needed,
Yeah.
And so we started learning. Like, I started to learn about how to be not passive aggressive or passive, but how to be assertive, how to, be more and okay with asserting myself and saying like or setting boundaries with others. I learned how I struggle with codependency, like this need to
Mm,
help others and just be, just for the not even for the sake of being needed, but it's just like it gave me purpose, but it also in the same breath was tiring.
yeah, yeah. And
Um
see,
mhm,
that's why first two things. When you go to therapy, it's okay to go to a therapist and it don't work out
right,
because you can
exactly.
always switch. You could switch
Mhm,
therapists because even if you go in for the first time, you don't know exactly what you need or what you want or how you're gonna feel or in
right.
anything, you know. So it's okay to switch up. The second thing is that when you do look for a therapist, like how you said about the Asian lady, I've been in therapy my whole entire life, honestly.
Okay.
And when I was younger, I took it for granted. I didn't care. Like I wasn't trying to do the work. And I remember the adults in my life saying, if you don't do the work now, Toni, it's gonna come back when you're older. It's gonna always come back. And I didn't understand that until I became a full-blown adult.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so when I looked for a therapist, I wanted to make sure she was African American. I wanted to make sure she was seasoned. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because
Okay.
I didn't want to be talking to somebody my age or younger than me that haven't been through no experiences. And
Mhm.
my third thing is I wanted to make sure that she was a believer.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because and you can do those when you're researching and you're looking for therapists. Figure out exactly what it is that you need or that you want in your life, and
Yeah,
then
check your boxes.
now the one thing, the disadvantage that I will tell you is that it's kind of hard to find Black therapists.
It is.
So young kids, college kids, HBC, y'all, can y'all change our majors, please? Because we need y'all.
Right. There goes the plug. But the reality too, Tony, is that nowadays when I think about like what my parents experienced and if they would have had half the resources that we have now, then I feel like things would have fared way differently. But we also
Absolutely.
have like peer supporters, people who have lived experience, and we have like warm lines and people who you can call in and just check in for 15 minutes. Like and just say, "Hey, this is the kind of day that I'm having." So it doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily you could talk to a total stranger and it doesn't have to be on this deep level. It's just like now I have somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And really sometimes that's all we need is just get it out. For
Mhm.
me is journaling. Like I've also
Yes.
learned about meditation. I know you said something even about checking like having like a black or a Christian therapist and stuff like that. And I know sometimes like, oh, just go to the church and talk. A lot of people feel like, oh, go to get a counselor at the church. Well,
Well,
sometimes, like I need practical. Sometimes the church does not give practicality. And there is just like and they're not professionals either, but they
mhm.
get so caught up in religion and the 10 commandments almost that they can't even get real with you to really help you process the problems. So if you do have somebody like that at your church, that's a beautiful thing. Take advantage
I
of it.
think it's okay to go to another church where they don't know you personally. That's what I
I
would.
like
That's
that.
that because that happened to
I
me
like
before.
that. Hmm.
So just to give advice, like I think, and I get you with the churchy because I don't be wanting to be churchy because I might have to cuss sometime when I'm in therapy. You know what I mean?
Right.
I might need to let it go. You know what I mean? Get the Holy Ghost, but
Yes.
it ain't the Holy Ghost like that. So and I'm paying you, so you're gonna have to listen and not judge me.
Listen. Yes.
So my advice is if you do go that route and you feel that, you feel that fear around that, go to a church that they don't know you.
I
You
like
know
that
what
a
I mean?
lot.
Go somewhere where they don't know you. They ain't heard of you. They don't know nothing about you, and you really getting your money worked and your time worked and your healing on,
Get your
and it
healing.
works.
That's all that
Mhm.
matters. As long as you get your healing. I'm gonna get a
Get your
t-shirt, Tony.
healing. Get your healing. Get your healing. Because that's what it's about. We will be more happier. We will be more connected if we just start the healing process,
No doubt. I agree.
right?
I agree. I think we have to do the internal healing. And I say that too because I'm like I said, was running around trying to do everything for everybody else. And this within this last few months actually, I started like just doing the work for myself personally. Like trying to figure out like what is it that you like? I don't even know. Like, outside being a mom, I'm like, these are
Let's go a little
yeah.
deep into that. What tell
Go
me,
ahead.
because I like what you're saying, but sometimes when people say stuff, I want to really know the specific things that you did. What was the specific things that you did to take care of you? What did you do?
Okay. So it started the first thing when I was feeling like, okay, I need to figure out what I like and what I need to be doing. I started rowing. Um, I was rowing up in Folsom Lake, and I would every Saturday morning, and I just felt like how alive I came. And I was like, okay. And that was one thing to start it off. And of course, like I was already like doing therapy and whatever, chit chatting with my sisters and all that. But then I felt like even rowing just kind of got stagnant because life still goes on, life still showing up. You
Mm-hmm.
lose your job, you're traveling this far, kids have other things going on, and so I stopped rowing for a while. And I tried like doing yoga. I was doing yoga, and of course, like being intentional about being in my word like daily, because I can always gather something from that. And even talking to like my sister, my baby sister, we just always have these really powerful conversations. We could be talking about real life stuff, and God will just give us revelation after revelation, and we'll just be on the phone for hours. So that was helpful. But the thing that I've done most recently, because I thought I didn't know how to meditate, but I have a friend with she has a studio down the way, and we were talking and building together, and she told me, she was like, "Oh, I do Kundalini, Kundalini yoga." And I was like, okay. She was like, if you want to try it with me, she's like, I did it for 40 days. It really helped just center me and ground me. And so on February 13th, I started getting up 5:30 in the morning with her every morning. And we would do our sadhana and our meditation. And like I could just see how things have just started to transform because I'm taking care of myself and grounding myself at the beginning of the day. And so it just carries on for the rest of the day.
And so you figured out what worked for you and what didn't work for you. That's what it
Right. It
sounds
was
like.
definitely trial and error. Yes.
Yeah. Because see, we have to really say that to community because we don't want to
Mhm.
just tell people like do this and do that and that's what's going to be because
No,
it's
you have to
work.
figure out what works for you. Because the other thing, the
It's work.
alternative to that was last year, just like this is when I knew I needed a shift because your girl was like drinking more than I've ever drank. I'm like, I'll have
Mhm.
like a social drink here and there. No, it was bad. It
It's
was
easy to
bad.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh," and I just looked up like, "Oh, wow, like this is not yeah, this is not how I envision myself. This is not how I typically handle things, whatever." But it was getting me through. But then I'm like, "Is it
Yeah.
really?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is it
So this was
really though?
right. So this was a better alternative.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. This is such a powerful conversation. I pray that like this is helping somebody and that we can have more conversations like this. Um if you wanted to tell someone like how to get out of that stagnant moment that we were talking
Mhm.
about, right? Um what would be the steps that you would like what advice would you give them? Cuz I heard when you were talking about what kind of lady you was and all the work that you done, I heard you say that you help trafficking girls and that, the way you're in community, like some people are not like what is that, a introvert, extrovert?
Oh,
That
extrovert, yeah.
yeah, extrovert. I can't say it right. Um, if they really wanted to like make some moves, right now in their life, change some things around, what advice would you give?
I think the first thing I would say is talk. A lot of times when we like me and you can have a conversation and you could tell me everything that you got going on, Tony,
Mhm.
and I would be able to tell you exactly how to navigate that situation or say, um, "Oh, Tony, I hear you, and these are the next steps, whatever. This is what I hear you saying. This is what I think you should do, whatever the case is." I think sometimes we don't give ourselves that same grace. And I feel like sometimes
Mhm.
we need to talk to ourselves like we're talking to the other person that's asking the question or that's giving us the feedback or they're wanting advice. So just like if I was to talk to my old self, what would I tell my old self?
I
Or
love
how would
that.
I help her? Yeah. I think that's very important. And then I think is the other important thing is that God has equipped us with everything that we need within ourselves. And I think we just have to trust in that and hone in on that. So just knowing that everything that you have is right within you.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing that I'm learning is like I have confidence. I've lost my confidence along the way. So now I'm trying to get back to that. I was super high self-esteem, couldn't tell me nothing. And over the years, I could see where that self-esteem has dwindled. And I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, I may not want to be 21-year-old Latisha anymore, but I do want to be a confident young woman. I do want
Mhm.
to walk with my head high. I do want to exude a good energy and presence. And so what do I need to do? What steps do I need to do to become her again? And so it's
Yeah.
like getting releasing that negative self-talk and that doubt.
So you have daughters, right?
I do. I have three.
Woo, 3 daughters, 3
Yes.
personalities.
Girl, yes. Big
Bless your
personalities.
heart, bless your
Thank
heart.
you.
I got one and she driving me crazy. So,
No.
but I love her dearly. I love her dearly
I
because
know.
she makes me stronger. She shows me who I am. She teaches me.
Hmm.
I admire her.
Right.
So what are like some of the gems that you give to your daughters? Because when you're feeling your low self-esteem and you're not feeling the best, like what advice do you give to your girls in a mother's
I
perspective?
Yeah, I feel like they teach me so much, like you said.
Mhm.
But I think the one thing that I try to instill in them is that they need to have a relationship with God. They need to be relational with each other, like find out how to communicate with one another and just understanding that we're all different. Me and my three sisters, we were having a conversation the other day and my older sister said something like, I understand now. She was like, we are all trying to get to number seven. And Tish, you might say 5 plus 2. I might say 6 plus 1. Care Bear might say 4 plus 3. And we all got to seven, but we just had took different ways to get there. And so I
Mhm.
think when we're not so busy focusing on saying our way is the right way, um, or the only way, like we leave room for knowledge and openness. Uh, yeah, and I think the other thing is teaching people how to treat you. Like that is one thing that I totally live by. If you
Yeah.
teach people how to treat you so they know, and don't let people just come in and do what they want, and then you're left picking up the pieces. Um, and so I think a lot of that, and I'm really transparent and open with those girls. Like I don't shy away from telling them the truth at all. They know if I'm like, hey, mom's having a rough day. Give me a minute.
Was your mom like that with you and your sisters?
Uh, No, not at all. I wasn't raised by my mom. I was raised by
Mhm.
my aunt, and by no means was she like that. No.
And what made you make the decision to be like that with your girls? Where did that come from?
I think it was more so having a lot of questions. Super inquisitive kid. I
Mhm.
was, and I felt like if I would have just known certain things or known a little bit more, like I would have been able to navigate a little bit differently. And so I think is better. Like if it's coming up, it's important enough to have the conversation because they're going to have the conversation with someone else. So I think it should be me.
I love that. Yes, it should come in house before it goes out house because I'm gonna be the one
Yeah,
to tell you the truth. I
exactly.
tell my I tell my kids that all the time. They're 11 and 8, and I tell them all the time. If they was here right now, they would be like, ugh. But
Here
seriously,
she
I say
go.
you will never listen to me. You will never be able to say, "Mommy did not tell you."
Hmm.
Okay, you will never be able to say that. You'll never
Yeah.
be able to say, "Mommy did not tell you." And
Right.
it doesn't matter
And-
what age they are, what gender they are. As long as
right.
you tell them you're the first teacher. You're the
Exactly. And
first.
some stuff comes up sooner than we're maybe comfortable dealing with it.
Oh, I'm
You
very
know.
uncomfortable most of the time being a mom. am very uncomfortable. Let me just say that.
Right. No, seriously, especially with these girls, it'd be stuff I'm like, oh, I thought only boys had to go through this. It'd be like they be coming up with some
Girl, I
stuff.
could tell you some stories that I'm like, my mouth, I be having to pick up my mouth because I'm like, I thought we was gonna go through this when you was like 15 or 16 and you're 11,
Yeah. Right.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also know that when I was growing up, like we didn't nobody teach me about my menstrual, you
Girl,
know,
that's a
that I
conversation.
was going to have cramps or what type of bra to wear or
Hmm.
how to conduct
How to
myself
put a
as a lady.
pad on. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, like I remember getting threatened all the time if I didn't do something or whatever. I remember that,
Hmm.
but I don't remember really even talking about being intimate. You know, I
Yeah.
don't. I, don't- I remember
Yeah.
telling someone saying, "Don't do it. You better not do it. You better not get pregnant." This, that.
Right.
But
But how
nobody
do
really.
I not get that's real. That's real talk right there. And like especially with daughters, like my I mean, I hate to put her business out here, but it is what it is. Like she, started her situation recently and I was like, okay. I don't know that I was all the way ready, but I ran her a bath
You're never
water.
ready.
Yeah, we sat down. I sat on the toilet, she sat in the tub, and we talked about it. Showed her how to properly wash and stuff like that. We went out, we got her everything that she needed. And, and it was just a really great moment for us when it happened. And I just hope
Mhm.
that I can have that experience with each of the girls. But it's really so hard to not even hard. I think it is challenging to raise people when you don't really when you wasn't raised a certain way. But I mean, and I don't believe in like, oh, I'm never doing what my parents did to me because I feel like a lot of that stuff was beneficial and it made you who you are. So you take what my cousin always say, take chew the meat and throw out the bones. Like you take what you need and throw out the rest.
You must be from the South. That sound like some Southern stuff.
Some southern stuff, yeah. Chew the bones, meat, spit out the bones. Like, okay, I'll do that.
No, for real.
Even from this conversation, I see there's a lot of chatter about the whole
Yeah, you see that.
yoga and stuff like that. And I mean, I get it, like it is, but like I said, I think God has put everything here and he given us everything that we need from within us and he's put us in community to know what works for you. At the end of the day, I invite God into everything that I do. I don't care
Mhm.
when I was just talking about having that drink
Yeah,
last year when I was drinking too much, like I'm inviting Lord, help me through this. I'm inviting
yeah,
you into this, whatever my situations are. If I'm doing meditation, I'm probably playing gospel music in the background. But it's relevant to whoever it's relevant for.
that's right. I mean, sometimes I gotta ask the Lord, should I wear that?
Right.
Like,
Hmm.
I don't even know if I
And
sh if
everybody's
I
conviction levels are different.
yeah,
Some people, feel like, oh, you can't, don't wear crystals, don't do, it's just like, it's trending, whatever. But it's like, set your intention about why you're doing whatever it is that you're doing.
yeah.
And invite God into it all. And
Mhm.
it's just like and that's a whole nother conversation, girl.
Yeah, it is. You might have to come back for a part 2. You're more than welcome.
Okay, I'll be back. I like to talk.
Yes, I love it. So, and this is the perfect time to transition. Like, thank you again for being here and let me
Yes,
get in your
ma'am.
business and giving me some
Yes.
gems. And um, I just want you to talk to community straight up right now. Introduce yourself again, especially as a woman that you are, and talk to the community, talk to that woman, talk to that girl, talk to that person that trying to figure out how they gonna ascend, how they gonna get through what they get that they're facing right now.
Okay.
Um, it's all on you. What would you say?
Okay, so I am Latisha Johnson, um, mom of three, wife, friend, sister, entrepreneur, um, consultant. So I just encourage every woman out there, whether no matter what walk you are on, if you're on your single journey, if you're a young woman going to school or trying to figure out what your career paths is, I say invite God into your life wholeheartedly. And he will show you whatever directions. I was talking to my sister today about just like not even wanting to know, trying to figure things out. People always say, like, oh, make it make sense. And it's like, Lord, I don't want it to make sense. As long as it makes sense to you, I just know that I just trust that you're going to navigate me and help me into the right direction in the right rooms and stuff. So trusting in yourself, trusting in God, really being open and transparent with yourself and asking the hard questions of like, where am I? Why am I doing this or doing that? And just know that no matter what your today is looking like, long as you have breath in your lungs, you can get up and do it again tomorrow. And sadness is real, emotions are real. God gave us all those emotions. He just doesn't want us to sit in them, but he gave them all to us. So it's okay to experience sadness, it's okay to experience joy, and if you're around people who are not allowing you to experience your joy, then rethink your circle. I think if you need someone to talk to, feel free to reach out. Babybeautylifestyle at Gmail is a good contact for me. We're also on Instagram. Um, but I think more so importantly than anything, trust yourself. Trust yourself and try to find that community that's going to really support you. And sometimes it's not our family members. Sometimes we really have to go out and find the people that God has placed in our lives to help us grow and get to the next level. And I mean, I know some of us are introverts, but and it doesn't have to. You don't have to be extroverted, but just finding those spaces that you like. If you like poetry, go to a poetry night. If you like going to the library, go sit in there and read a book and just be comfortable with saying hello and making new friends, I guess. Because you never know how God will use you and use your story. Also, just even talking to other people about what you are going on also helps. What you have going on helps to it's just encouraging, because a lot of times I'm sure I've said something that somebody else has resonated with today, and what we go through is not for ourselves at all. It's for us to learn from, but it's also for us to share. It's our testimony. So when we have our testimony and people hear how we're experiencing life and how we're navigating it, it gives them the courage that they can get through it too. So that's all I got, Tony.
Yes, that was wonderful. I'm so honored that you came to sit with me and talk to me and give your gems and share with community what you got on. Thank you so much again for everything that you do for community.
Yes,
Thank you for
ma'am.
being who you are. This was a beautiful, pleasant conversation. The chat has been going off. Okay, the people is here. They
Oh,
are.
yay. Does anybody got a question?
Yes. Does anybody have any burning desire questions before we go? We got a few more minutes. And we would love to talk back to you because y'all have showed us a lot of love in the chat today. This is a beautiful day for me because it's my first show of the year, and
Yay.
you kicked it off. You kicked it off, and this is a
Yay.
heavy conversation. So, you know, I think you had said earlier when you were talking about having babies, like you're a mom for the first time again.
Yes.
That's how I feel when I'm talking to people, because even though I've had conversations with several people, celebrities, just community people, moms, dads, like, you know, I'm always nervous. I get nervous every time because
Yeah.
I haven't talked to that person. I haven't had that conversation with that person before. And
Right.
so I love it when the Holy Spirit just comes in and moves and just connects everything. And as soon as I get to talking and you start talking back to me, all of that goes away. Um,
Oh,
so
yay.
yeah, let's see what people saying.
You're
What
doing
people
your
say.
thing, girl. Keep it up. We need this platform.
Let them know about the 30 seconds. Let
The
them know
30
about the
seconds. Oh, okay. So 30 seconds in connection. So it's like one thing that my husband and I, when we first were dating, like if things were just kind of misfiring or we just needed a moment, we one of us would ask like for 30 seconds or whatever. And it just was a moment where we just either gave a hug or like laid on the bed or just, and sometimes 30 seconds turns into 30 minutes because we start talking about whatever else the case is and stuff. But it's just a good way to reset.
wow, the 30. Okay, the 30 seconds. I like
Yeah. And
that.
it's good to do with the kids too. Like which
I
if
was
you
just
have
that's
kids, Yep.
That was the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, I might have to do that with the kids.
Yep.
You know what?
Yep.
Don't talk to me for 30 minutes, 30 seconds.
Not
Just
don't talk to me for 30
hush,
seconds.
hush,
But
hush.
no, but think, girl, because the kids they want something at the most unopportune time sometimes. I'm like, I'm
Oh my
literally in the
God.
middle of flipping chicken. Like, what do you want? But it's like if it's dire, ask for 30 seconds. And then it's like, Mom, I just need a hug. And then the girls will do that. They're like, Mom, I just need a hug. And I'm like, okay, come on, bring it in. Okay. Now get out the
That's
kitchen.
my son. My son is the love child. Although my daughter, she kind of been up under me lately. I don't know what's going on with that, but I love it. I'm taking all of that
Yes.
love as long as I can get
I'm
it.
not a lovey-dovey person, Tony,
I'm not
but
either though, but they made me like that.
I'm
They
working
brought
on it.
that out of me. And that's
Yeah.
a whole nother show too. Why are we not like that? Because why
Girl.
we didn't get
Part 3?
hugs, kisses, and loves when we were younger. And so we don't know how to do that. We don't feel comfortable doing that.
Mhm. Too much
So
vulnerability involved.
it sound like you got to come back again. It sound like you got
Yep.
to come back
Part
again.
3? Part 3?
I'm down. I'm down. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, community, thank you again for being here with us today. Thank you to my guest that came and talked about everything that she talked about. Thank you for the chat. Thank you for everybody that tuned in
Yes.
live. You can still watch the show later on. You can send the show to somebody that may be dealing with the issues that we spoke about today. And if you yourself have a story of ascending, or you need to sit down and come talk to Toni Rochelle, I'm here for
Hey.
you. I'm here for you because believe it or not, when I hear y'all stories, when I get to have conversations with my guests, it heals me too. It's a little selfishness, I know, but we all need healing. We all need healing, okay? Um, I gotta give a shout out to some people. Yesterday I was at the 19th annual Golden Girls Hat and Gloves Bridging the Generation. You guys, I was in a powerful room with I think probably about 100 women, majority of them African American women. And let me tell you, first of all, a shout out to Josephine Baker, because we were at the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco, California. And I don't know if y'all know this knowledge, but I want to give the knowledge to y'all because knowledge is power, because I didn't know this. But she helped desegregate that hotel. And I'm just amazed that we were able to be in a room. I want to thank her for doing that for us, for setting the pay for Black women, and a great way to just go into Women's Month too. I mean, the room was powerful, y'all. There was aunties and grandmas and nieces and cousins and sisters that we didn't even know that we, and
Right.
it was like we all had the same energy, the same vibration. Like we hugged on each other, kissed, we cried, we snotted. Like I don't even know how my lashes stayed on by the end of the day because I was so emotional. Just even just being in the room, and there was no hate because people was looking at you. Another lady was looking at you smiling. You know what I mean? Wanted to just hug you,
Yeah.
wanted to touch you. We had on our gloves and we had on our hats and we was drinking tea and coffee and eating our little sandwiches without the crust. It was amazing, y'all. And I just
Aw.
have to share that with y'all, that like y'all get involved in women groups. Start your own group. If you can't find one, start your own group. And even if it's just one or two or three of you, that's okay. More people will come if that's what you want. But I'm telling you, it's something about the connection of women being together, being on one accord, and just wanting to be, like we both said, we're not really lovey persons. But yesterday I just wanted to coddle everybody. I wanted to just rock, and it was just an amazing experience to be around all that wisdom, hearing storytelling, people getting women getting awards, and just being in that room, dressing, even just dressing up. Like when did we get to wear gloves and
Yeah.
pearls and hats and stuff like that? That's not just for the older generation. That's not just for the grandmas and that too. We are ladies. We can be etiquette and fashionable and all of that. And so I just have to share that with you, community, that it was just amazing, and it just touched my little soul. Also, I want to tell you guys about my upcoming event that I'm having, which will be next Saturday, March the 16th at 2:00 p.m. I don't know if you guys know who Kathy Adams is. She is the president of the Black Chambers of Oakland, California. I will be at 2634 Lakeshore Avenue in Oakland, California. So if you enjoyed this podcast and you want to come and be in the audience and really feel that energy, get to know me even more, hear the story of Kathy Adams, come get your ticket. It's on Eventbrite. You can go to my my Instagram, my Facebook to get the link. And don't worry, the ticket ain't that expensive. It ain't that expensive, I promise. I don't believe in all that. But come and be a part of the live audience of Ascending with Toni Rochelle, because you're going to be in for a treat. I had the first one in January. It was a sold-out event. Shout out to Treva Reed, Donald Lacey, Sean Williams, Dr. Lakita Long, the musicians I had, the production team I had. Shout out to It's a Thing to Talk About. It was a lovely event. And so I'm going to start putting these events on every other month, or I think once a month I'm going to start doing this. And so I would love for you to be a part of the audience. My time is running out, but I love you, community. Thank you for tuning in. Keep coming back every Sunday. We'll be here at 3:30 and we'll have more and more impact, more conversations. Until then, you guys be blessed. Hold your head up high. Get into a community circle. Pray, pray, pray. Replay this video when you're feeling down. It'll give you some inspiration. Until then, peace, love, and y'all know what I'm going to say. Keep ascending.
Ascending, gotta keep ascending. Even at your worst, you gotta keep your vision. That's the only way that you're gonna keep ascending. Her pain is my pain, her struggle's my struggle.